And welcome to the East County Prep Football Report with Raymond Brown of San Diego Football.net, our analyst. I'm Ramon Scott. Thanks for joining us. We've got more good news to talk about in the East County this week. Wasn't all perfect. Usually Thursdays have been pretty good to us, but we kind of opened the week with a little thump, but excitement on Friday night. And yeah, even I've come around on the Helix Highlanders. Raymond put them in the top group. Finally, I think I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with the Highlanders. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. Blessed to be here. East County's rolling again. A lot of great teams, a lot of great games, a lot of surprising games. We're going to get to those, but I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, there was some news. I mean, still some great results this week, and just interesting to note. We'll talk about the big teams in a little bit, but we just got to kind of cover our featured game, the game you were out at this week. That's how we'll start it off, of course. Still a huge story, and we'll cover it in the way that you know how you were out at the game this week between Mount Miguel and Grossmont. We'll take a look at your highlights. I mean, I don't want to say don't let the score fool you a little bit. I think Grossmont had their moments, and that might be. I think that hopefully, and I think Coach Lawrence can pull something out. It's tough to feel the way Grossmont probably did by the way the scoreboard ended up, but a close game early. Let's kind of roll it here with you a little bit, and you'll narrate these highlights for us as well in the game on on Friday night. Those we talked about the other uniforms, Raymond. These are pretty sharp too. I wish the Hillers. I wonder if they still have those gold uniforms from last year. Not that that would have been. Those were awesome, but here we go, Raymond. Go ahead and tell us about the game.
Yeah, Mount Miguel still rolling. It was a great effort by Grossmont. They kept it pretty competitive in the first half. I know it was 26-20 at one point, but Mount Miguel just kept making plays, man. Yeah, score record 66 points. So many contributors, man. So many great players. That's a nice pass right there from Herbert to get them in a position to score on the next drive right here, as you can see. What a great effort, man. This was homecoming night for Grossmont. A lot of teams get offended when you schedule them during homecoming. And I can tell you, Mount Miguel was not happy with that. No team's ever happy with being scheduled for homecoming, but it's all good. There's a play right there from the freshman phenom, Delonte Williams. He had a big play right there. He's going to have another one coming up. I don't want to spoil it. Matt Barton with a dot to Castillo, one of the best receivers in the county. Long touchdown play right there. I mean, it's all Mount Miguel, man. Hudson Herbert right here. He's going to get picked off by the freshman phenom. Once again, Delonte Williams.
He's coming at us to the house.
And he's coming towards me. I ain't going to lie. I was a little scared here. I didn't want him to run. It'd still be some kind of running away from him. But I got the play. He took it to the house for a touchdown. But Hudson Herbert answers right back with a pass to his favorite target, Bigley. Great receiver Bigley is, man. He needs to get more recognition. He is getting some more recognition because he's a playmaker. Here's Herbert again, running it in himself. Great player, great play, great effort by Grossmont. Can't say anything more about them. Just a great team, man. Just a great effort. But here's Castillo again, man. I believe he found the end zone like 3 times. What an athlete he is.
They put up that school record, as you mentioned, 66 points. Here's McGowan. He had 3 touchdowns as well. Raymond, you mentioned Castillo, 6 receptions, 228 yards. He had 3 scores, plus his kick return for a touchdown as well. That long touchdown pass for Williams was for 65 yards. Barton finished with 255 yards, and Mount Miguel is undefeated for the first time since 2011. ironically, Coach Tom Carlo coached the Matadors at that time. Of course, he made more. He had a. He was. He, that was when Mel McGill had the teams back then dominating the Valley when Carlo was the coach there, and then he went over to Grossmont and had more victories there, and actually made a bigger name, I think, at Grossmont as well. There's McGowan with another touchdown. Herbert was injured in this game, Raymond. Did you think that was a minor? Was it I think an ankle, but he did leave the game, and here's his backup here, but he's going down. You think he's okay though? You think? Did you notice anything?
I hope so, man. He didn't come back. I don't think he came back in. They had like two backups come in. I hope he's okay. I wish him a speedy recovery. But yeah, it's kind of downhill from there.
Let's get the post game.
Defense was struggling a little bit. We made some adjustments second half, and then we shut them out. Offensively, we're just kind of clicking. We're just playing real great team right now, offense, defense, and special. We got to keep putting the pressure on, The number one thing we've been preaching all the time is practice. We've been practicing hard and holding each other to a high standard in practice, so we just got to keep that up.
The pass game, the run game, everything that, Coach V had planned for us, it was just overall amazing, great game plan.
And he's stepping up, man. He's becoming a big-time leader. He's making clutch throws. He's running the offense to perfection. And the scary thing about him is people don't understand is he can run. He's really athletic as well. So he's doing a lot of things with his feet and his arm and just, managing the game and doing a great job.
So last year, it was mainly just pass. And now with Coach V, we have the ability to run the ball, pass the ball, do whatever we need to do.
Davion's a stud, man. He can play running back. He can play slot. He can do a little bit of everything, man. He's just one of those guys. He's a jack of all trades, So we just, kind of put him all over the field and just expect him to make plays. He's a stud.
The difference is just practice. Practice is super hard, makes the game a lot easier.
We just got to play our game. I tell these guys it's about practice. Every day we just got to practice hard. We got to prepare. And if we do that, we're going to live with the results. So, they've been buying into what we've been preaching. And, we've been coaching them really, really hard. So
Raymond, the Braves, the Matadors beat their previous record in that game with those records. Let me turn down the commercial, get off the commercial here. They had scored 63 points against El Cajon Valley in 1983 and 62 against the Braves in 2013. But this was against a Grossmont team. I mean, funny thing is, what I'm saying about Grossmont, and their touchdown, by the way, we saw it there early. Isaac Aceves was one of the guys that scored a touchdown. He was the one that had the short run. But Grossmont was in the game early, and I think that's actually a credit to where they stand right now in their recovery, if you will, to stay in this, to have those scores early and keep it a little bit close. I think we are seeing something special actually from Mount Miguel. And what's going to happen here is similar. Like I know we talked about last week, but it's becoming ever so apparent that Mount Miguel, not to fill these kids' heads, I mean, they are in line for a deep, deep run come the postseason just because of where they stand and the way the structure is for, the tournament, the state playoffs as well. So, San Diego's had great success in these state playoffs over the last couple of years, and that could continue with kind of that mirror image. I think it's just the only difference between the kind of the modern day situation and what's going on here at Mount Miguel is you do have the public school entity, which makes it just a tiny bit more difficult, I would guess, to build what you're trying to do, but maybe not. I mean, this is so fun right now, watching the Matadors do what they do. No disrespect for Grossmont, but like right now, you look at how the placement of the league is taking place and what happened in some of these other games. We'll talk about it a little bit. It just feels a little bit tough for the rest of the teams in the Hills League. And of course, this throws a big wrench into what the Valley League showdown is going to happen as we continue to talk about it. So great job with the coverage out there, Raymond. Anything on the Matador? What do you gather from Verlaine Batoffi and his leadership and just everything that's going on? I know we talked about it last week, but man, I just can't get enough. From the uniforms to the personnel.
I mean, he just got Coach Batoffi just got everything going, man. You could tell the kids want to play for him. They want to play for that coaching staff. They got an all-star lineup as a coaching staff, and they're just out there having fun, man. Like I was out there. I was like, man, I wish I was still in high school. I would love to play for this team. And they're taking it 1 year at a time. Tofi, he's in no rush to like move up to D3 or D2 or nothing. He just want to go 1 year at a time, build a program. Because remember, this is a public school. This isn't like modern day. They had a private school, everything that comes with it. It's a public school that hasn't had a winning season since 2013. So he just wants to build it 1 year at a time, take it slow, and slowly but surely build Mount Miguel into a powerhouse. And he's projected to do so. He's on his way.
Oh no, can't wait. I mean, however long it takes. I mean, it's obviously there. It's weird. It just I don't want to draw this comparisons like a Colorado, but that's the feel, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you can get players in quickly and do this quickly. They'll have to move up as the years go along as this continues, but that's just what we want is a team like Mount Miguel to step up and represent again. Like I said, they've had great football in the past. Okay, let's get to those top matchups now, and I believe in the Helix Highlanders after the 53-19 thrashing of Madison on the road. Maybe it was a little bit close early, but it wasn't really. And Helix, Raymond, with the convincing victory. I'm so convinced I've moved. I'm a Highlander. I'm tough on the Highlanders. The Eagles are the defending champs. I've moved Helix slightly ahead of Granite Hills, maybe based on just a little bit more experience at some key positions. But this week, Helix with the win. You got all CIF performers too, Daniels and Allen and Jesse. There's some great quarterbacks here. Jesse's in the group. He's in the discussion. Those top guys are good. He's right there with them. He's D1 bound. So what do you think here with the Highlanders, Raymond? I've got them number 3 this week over Granite.
Yeah, this was a major signature win. Yeah, this was a major signature win for Helix. I'm not putting them above Granite Hills until they beat them. I still got Granite Hills over them. But wow, what a statement for Helix. Great play from Kevin Allen III. He is having a player of the year type of performance this season. Rushed for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jackson Daniels made one of the sickest one-handed touchdown catches I've probably seen this season. Jordan Gash, 30-yard fumble return for a touchdown. He's doing a great job on that defensive line. Great win for Helix, man. That just sets us up for what should be a big rematch between Helix and Granite Hills to see who gets that open division spot. But this is one for the resume. If you're a Highlander, this one's one for the resume.
Yeah, no doubt about it. One of the biggest wins for Helix in a couple years for sure, and established themselves because they were in the group with Madison, right? I mean, who's going to take that other spot? Because I think right now you got to consider Granite Hills good enough to be that number 3 team behind, Lincoln and Carlsbad, and waiting for Helix and this rapid climb back up the polls quickly. If they could do something like this, the winner of this game was going to end up at probably as the number 4 team right now. Like you said, I mean, whatever I've got them at it, you got them right now. It's Helix and Granite Hills with their 1 and 1A. Doesn't matter. They're both setting up for a great game. And whereas last year, though, Raymond, we'll talk about this week's games a bit. And Helix has, Cathedral still no gimme, no matter what's going on. But whereas last year you felt Helix's momentum had already slipped away, and Granite Hills ended up kind of being the favorite in the minds. Right now, even with your way of thinking, if you will, and my way of thinking being just a little bit different, I still respect Granite Hills. They're the champs until they're knocked off, no matter what I say about our ranking. But it does feel like this year, as Helix, they still kind of claimed the crown, but Granite Hills had all that momentum, so they were favored. it does feel like Helix's rapid climb has them catching Granite Hills right away, and certainly should be considered no less than a toss-up if the teams were to meet tomorrow because of Helix's impressive momentum right now and what everybody is thinking about them. I want to almost say that the rest of the county is kind of forgetting about Granite Hills, and I don't know, that could make Granite Hills that much more dangerous, and maybe that's the attitude that they could almost take a little bit to keep them motivated through the league season as well, especially on some of those games are going to be quite frankly.
I'll say this right now. I think if the teams were to play tomorrow, I think Helix would have the upper hand. I think Helix looks like the better team on paper, but I need to see it for myself. Like I need to see them beat Granite Hills before I put them above Granite Hills.
I agree.
If I was to make a bet, if I had to make a bet right now, I'd go with Helix.
All right,
but they got a tough one next week that will. They got a tough one that we'll talk about later.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, it's not and even Granite does in a way. Well, it's a unique matchup, but certainly I agree. No, I agree with you. If you threw them on a neutral field right now, that's why I have Helix just slightly ahead. And I'm not, like I said, I the way I'll word it is at key positions. Not that Granite Hills, has a great future at the most important position on the field, but there's a big discrepancy on the leadership a little bit between the two teams. Not that Granite Hills doesn't have great veterans at every other position on the field. For sure. I mean, some of the most exciting talent in the county. All right. And let's just talk about them then and go right to Granite Hills, a clubbing of Eastlake. Raymond, it should be noted, this is Granite Hills' a school record 12th straight victory now. So there you go. I mean, don't forget about the Granite Hills Eagles. And yeah, I have them right now with Helix. Raymond, the big story for me representing here, you're bringing in we've got two of the top four teams in the open division running right now, Helix and this Granite Hills team.
Yeah, man. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a nice little rivalry for a couple years. For a while, Helix was just running rampant through the East County. They had like 20, nearly 30 game win streak over East County opponents at one point. So to see some new blood and see Mount Miguel on the rise, see teams like El Cap on the rise. Everybody's trying to beat Helix. If you're in the East County, your goal is to get past Helix. And I think Granite Hills, they done that last year. If they do it this year, oh man, it's going to be bigger and better things. But great win against the Eastlake team. Eastlake's been on some hard times as of late. Hope they get it together soon. Amazing performance. Pablo Jackson, Isaiah Jackson, whatever you want to call him, 77 yards, 1 touchdown. Benitez got a rushing touchdown as well as a passing. So this team is rolling right now. Held at Eastlake, who's usually a great offensive team, to just 7 points. This is similar to last year. They went down to Eastlake and had a pretty dominant performance. And yeah, man, Granite Hills is rolling right now.
Tamarian White forced a fumble, is recovered by Kuba Polak. Nicoy Maddox had a 33-yard punt return for a touchdown, and he also had 10 tackles. Benitez, 119 yards, but didn't need it. The Eagles could have rolled over Eastlake right now, the way things are going. So a great job. Eagles continue their winning. Well, like I said, I mean, don't forget about this team. I mean, just because they're kind of running over some people a little bit right now. Turner, 2 touchdowns in the game as well. The usual suspects, I guess. I don't want to call the Granite Hills a victory, boring or uninspiring. It wasn't any of that at all. They crushed Eastlake to keep it going. In the polls, they kind of, held their ranking over Helix right now. We'll get to that in just a little bit. We'll talk about that, but Eagles do the job and keep it going there. All right. We'll move on. You mentioned El Cap, but it didn't go quite well, and this is where my concerns start to lie. Maybe you can help me through this a little bit. So you have the Hills League team, Steel Canyon, which, yes, just a couple of years ago, they were that challenger to Helix. They won the big game on Friday night. They stole the title from the Highlanders. They ended the streak of streaks, and now you have a Steel Canyon team that, okay, this might be great news. In fact, maybe this is a big turning point. I think we've already seen it a little bit for Steel Canyon, getting back a little bit after a rough season last year. But now for a Hills League team like Steel Canyon that is in a little bit of regroup phase against an El Cap team that is supposed to be kind of at their peak right now and a top contender with Mount Miguel in the Valley League. If anything, they've slipped behind the momentum of the Matadors right now, especially after this home loss to Steel Canyon, where Steel Canyon was just they dominated the game, Raymond.
Yeah, my marquee matchup's getting ruined every single week, man. Excellent win for Steel Canyon. When I left their loss at Madison in the fourth quarter, nobody in the world could have told me that that team was going to do this to El Capitan, especially the way El Cap was playing back then, especially what I saw from Steel Canyon. But man, what an amazing win! This is a program turning win. Like, this can give them a lot of confidence going forward. Jonathan Sublime went crazy, 255 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns on 19 carries. Nico Jara, not one but 2 punt returns for a touchdown, and yes, caught a touchdown pass and got an interception. Great athlete, one of the best playmaking athletes, not only in the East County but San Diego County.
Oh no, he is
great win for Steel.
Breakout star, right, of the week, I would say. We'd already talked about Jar a little bit, but I think do we have an award or did we just make one up? I think Nico Jara gets it, a breakout 72 and 71 yards, and the way he grabbed that ball in that punt return, I'm sure the coaches were yelling no.
Yeah, but hey, he got it done, so. Hats off to him. Great win. I don't know what's going on with El Cap. They struggled a bit against La Jolla. They had to come back and rally from behind, and then to go out and just get blown out at home by a struggling Steel Canyon team. It's crazy. I don't want to say Steel Canyon is struggling because they like to stack their schedules. Every year they like to get the most competitive schedule, and I think this is why they do it. So they can see results like this. They battle test their students. They come out swinging like this. So great win for Steel Canyon.
No, this is the moment, and I would imagine that even the result was maybe stunning for a little bit, right? But for Steel Canyon, they've always had interestingly great returners on special teams, probably for almost the last decade. They've had guys who can make big returns. It's kind of been was a signature a little bit several years ago with Johnson, remember? And they've
Chris
had
Carter.
Great special Carter, right? They had 2 guys that could do it on the field. And Jara, when you can do something like that, that stands out. Manuel Saka, 9 tackles. Shout out to the Sakas. And Marcelo Olivieri had the touchdown pass to Nico Jara. You mentioned the touchdown pass. Matt LaChapa, or I'm sorry, shout out always my whole life, Matt LaChapa. Chance LaChapa had the touchdown for El Cap, but wow, this is great news, and I think you described it perfectly as far as what it preps you for if your Steel Canyon is on a night like that night. And I think it gives them tremendous confidence, moving forward. That I think we can safely put Steel Canyon back up to feels like at this point back ahead. I don't know if they were ever behind the new entries right now, but I was kind of thinking, after Helix and Granite, maybe Steel was more in the group with West Hills and Santana, right? But if Steel Canyon went into El Cap and beat El Cap like this, they're back up closer to those the regular Hills League teams, and these new entries are not We'll see. We'll see. But that's what worries me a little bit about the results and seeing Grossman as well lose to Mount Miguel like they did. Right now, kind of like the shift of Helix a little bit. Mount Miguel maybe has moved to the slight favorite. Whereas I was thinking before, maybe it could be a toss-up. We know that Mount Miguel momentum has been crazy going into that game. But right now, they've got to be favored to beat El Capitan in that Valley League championship game.
Yeah, I still see El Cap competing with Mount Miguel for the title, but
Great.
I think Mount Miguel look like they're going to roll. Well, we don't know yet. I don't know.
No.
I don't want to
Let's
say
hope
too
it's a
much
great
right
game.
now.
No, let's hope it's a great. Let's hope.
Oh,
that
yeah.
it
I hope
is.
it's competitive, but
Yeah. It feels a little scary. So
yeah.
let's go, El Cap. Let's clean this up. But also shout out to Steel Canyon. Just a great job. Let's get that. They deserve this type of victory. Sablon with the score. Okay. We've got big news all over the place here in the East County right now, Raymond. And this is the 5th game in. I mean, this is on a. If I was reaching for storylines, or even if I didn't have these other great things happening, I'd go right to this game as the lead story because the Mount Vista Monarchs ended their 13-game losing streak with a convincing victory. I think we had this one penned, Raymond. You saw San Ysidro. Raymond, I don't know if you caught wind of this. 2 minutes into the first quarter, Monta Vista had a 100-yard fumble return for a touchdown.
Wow. I wrote that down, but didn't notice it. Wow.
2 weeks in a row. Can you believe if you were San Ysidro what you must be thinking when you
that's
see
demoralizing.
Mohammed Osman pick up the ball? It's 100 yards. He actually picked it up 3 yards in the end zone. You don't get credit for those yards in high school football. We know it was longer than 100, but the record is 100. It was a world high school record for Mohammed Osman. No one will ever beat this record in the history of high school football because he gets credit for a 100-yard fumble return. Could you imagine?
Has anybody gave up 2 straight 100-yard fumble returns?
Could you imagine that?
Yeah,
I saw someone tweet out record alert for Cal High. Now, there's nobody going to keep that record. But, Raymond, could you imagine what the coaches, the players, the fans of the poor Cougars on their home field?
I'm breaking clipboards. I'm breaking headsets. I'm breaking helmets.
And it was the same exact scenario. They did the push play. The ball.
Don't tell me it was on that same side of the field.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it looked like an instant reap.
I gotta go watch it. If it was on that same side of the field, man, I'm done.
It was totally they were running that way. So the push play where it looked like maybe there was a man underneath that could have been in there somehow, but all of a sudden, and
the first one was controversial.
The way
even Valhalla's coach said he might have got in and the ref didn't notice it before.
Poor San Ysidro. I mean, and Monta Vista, it's a key play. Look, 13-point game. They're 1 foot away from the goal line, and here's the other touchdown going the other way. But Osman alertly picked up the ball. Funny, he kind of just stood there with the ball for a second in the end zone, like, am I in a touchback? And then he took off running. So you'd think the Cougars would have seen this before. Jaden Ellison rushed for 2 touchdowns. He had over 100 yards rushing, and Adrian Gonzalez had a touchdown as well for Monta Vista. But again, like I said, I think we already noticed the improvement in Monta Vista. I think I called for the victory over San Ysidro. Did you? I mean, you might have went against me.
I don't think I did. I thought San Ysidro. Well, they did put up a good effort, but I thought they were going to pull this off.
No, this is good news. This is I see the improvement right now for Monta Vista, and I think this game proved it.
Yeah, hats off to Monta Vista to get that monkey off their back. That's got to be demoralizing, man. One thing I noticed about San Ysidro, they will have their foot on your neck, and then they'll turn the ball over, and then they just lose hope or something like that. I don't know. That's crazy. I didn't notice they gave up another fumble return. I'm still shook off of that. But
You got to see it. Go back and look at it. I don't know.
I'll go.
You do. I mean, it's like you talk about the deja vu. I couldn't believe it, and I tweeted that out as well. I said, for the second straight week, wow, how does this happen? So great job, Monarchs, to get that win. Look, the Monarchs. You mentioned San Ysidro, kind of like the Monarchs. They will make mistakes, but they seem to clean them up. So that's, of course, a reflection of their staff. Okay. This is the sixth game in. I have another huge story here with the El Cajon Valley Braves. It feels like so routine for the Braves to win milestone games, if you will. I don't know if this is, I thought the Braves would win this one. Maybe we disagreed last week. It was a very close game, but Raymond, this one had all the drama. It came down to a last-second field goal attempt, but it was a roughing the kicker penalty that gave the Braves an extra chance, and Christopher Gonzalez booted the game winner through the uprights with no time left. The Braves win again, 27-24. Dubose, 230 yards of total offense. He had a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown. Paris Dixon, a 38-yard reception from Dubose. Chris Cosio, another interception, and the Braves beat Montgomery to keep all that momentum going right now. Who's stopping the Braves train at this point?
Yeah, I love the way El Cajon Valley's been playing. They're definitely turning their program around. It's hard to win games at Montgomery, but they pulled it off. They hung in there. Gutsy performance. These are type of wins you need to turn your program around that's been struggling. So hats off to Paris Dixon. He's one of the best two-way players in the county. Doesn't really get that much recognition because he plays for El Cajon Valley. But hopefully, man, he gets his name out there, gets a little bit more recognition, and El Cajon Valley continues to roll.
Yeah, great job for the Braves. Definitely something that they've had close games, they've had close finishes. So I think if anything, they have some experience in some of these close games as well. So great job.
So what's that? They're 3-1 now.
Yeah. So on a roll, continue to be on a roll here. Are the Braves? Look, those top teams of the Valley League are going to be tough enough, but maybe the Braves, like I said, they can handle those other teams, and again, there'll be an impact. Their impact will come in the postseason. So, okay, here's another dramatic victory here for Christian. They win over Santa Fe Christian 17-14. Both teams have been a bit of a disappointment this season, but Spencer Johnson threw to Dylan Eads with less than a minute to go, a 3-yard touch. I think it was actually with no time on I think it was at the end of the game, and gives Christian the touchdown. Eads also had a 40-yard reception. Talon Buckman a field goal, 3-0. Christian here, Raymond. Big surprise, pleasant surprise.
I'm not really surprised. But it's a hard-fought game for Santa Fe Christian, who's looking for their first win of the season. I think it's their first time going 0-4 since, 2014, 2013-ish. But great win for Christian. They're trying to turn their season around. What's that? That's 2 wins in a row for them?
2 wins now, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great win. Great gutsy victory against I think that's one of their rival schools. 2 Christian schools, 2 private schools. They have competitive games. They've seen each other in CIF. So this is always a doozy. Even the CIF game I saw years ago was similar to this. Very close game. When these 2 teams meet each other, it's gritty, it's gutsy, and great win for Christian moving forward.
Yeah, and I guess Christian might have been expected to win if Santa Fe Christian is down a little bit. I've noticed upsets in this series throughout the years. So I guess could have went either way. Good for Christian. That's a win you can build on, certainly. And Johnson emerging here with some good results of late at quarterback. We know Christian can, have productive quarterbacks. We've seen that in the past. So, all right. Interestingly, so that takes care of all the victories. And like I said, for whatever reason, Raymond, the Thursday night, hey, we're supposed to win on Thursday nights because we're taking all the Thursday games to help the referees out. So why don't we get a little break now and then? Anyways, Fallbrook did the job here, taking care of Santana. Fallbrook, Fallbrook's having a pretty good season. So is Santana. So this was actually a very good game. It's unfortunately it gets buried here a little bit. It is a loss for our team, but Alex Rico threw for a couple of touchdowns, and I believe Dylan Borcher threw for one as well. Michael Valenzuela missed a touchdown. I had a couple of touchdown receptions, and Trent Taylor a touchdown reception. But Fallbrook has the win here.
Yeah, a tough loss for Santana. They allowed Chris Bosch to rush for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. I really thought Santana was going to pull this off. I knew this was going to be a gritty, grindy game. It was going to be a close one. I was expecting Santana to come home with a victory, but Fallbrook is tough, man. They're coming back into the fold after being down for so many years. They're 3-1, looking to make a name for themselves in the North County, which is crowded, as we all know. So, yeah, man, a tough loss for Santana, but hope they can bounce back. They got a lot of big games coming up, so they got to learn from this one and move forward.
A lot of pressure by the Fallbrook defense on the Santana quarterback. I noticed, Rico with the touchdown passes, so just didn't catch too much of that action. The Sultans have been playing, 2 quarterbacks with Goldman, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe I could actually go back and take a look at that. I don't know if the game was. Did I catch it? Well, whatever the case may be, it feels like if Santana was at home, that could have went either way in that one. Okay, let's continue on. And this is a bit of a stunner to me, so maybe you can help me figure out, because, I don't doubt that Patrick Henry might be, this is actually, maybe it's bigger. Might be bigger for Patrick Henry than it is. West Hills is going to be bummed. They've got to, they don't want to be losing games like this on their home field where, when I watched quite a bit of this game, and in a game that I thought West Hills would beat because they're at home. Yeah, maybe it's a kind of an even matchup, but Henry had been down. They'd played some very tough teams, obviously, this year. So I don't know if their record was very indicative of their standing, but we know that Patrick Henry maybe had been on a slight decline from some of that good success they'd had over the last couple of years. But when I watched the game, they looked much the best over the Wolfpack on this night.
Yeah, their offense looked crazy explosive. They were just throwing the ball. Receivers was getting open, burning defenders. It was crazy. Eli Ruiz, he had over 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and he caught a touchdown pass of his own. So they just opened up that offense. And this shocked me too. I was not expecting Patrick Henry to win so convincingly like this. I was wrong about that. I was wrong about a lot of teams. Seemed like I need to come on here and say that a team is struggling, need to turn a program around in order for them to get the win. And that's what they did. So hats off to Patrick Henry. I don't know West Hills. They better get it together because they're in that Grossmont Hills League, and it's going to be tough. They got some work ahead of them. So this one you got to look at the film and try to fix whatever you need to fix.
Yeah, no, I'm sure, and that's what I feel about it here. Kind of that those teams are kind of losing ground a little bit. So just that's what's disturbing to me at this point with the way that the Hills League is shaping up, because these teams have kind of fallen flat. And that was especially the way West Hills has played defense. Sometimes their defense has kept them in games and kept it alive for their offense to come through. So Patrick Henry, this kind of looked like the Patrick Henry of a couple of years ago with all those yards for West Hills. Diego Calderon did have 100 yards and a touchdown. He actually tied the game early with his early score here, but it was Patrick Henry that they just looked like the better team. And I'm sure that the West Hills coaching staff does not feel as if they're were outmatched or outmanned in this game. So that one might fall on the Pack a little bit, and probably has probably made for a tough couple of days here. Or I don't know. Anyways, Thursday just didn't work out for the East County. Here's Olympian blanking Valhalla, and that actually surprised me. Because, maybe it's going to be. I viewed it as kind of a closer matchup, a toss-up matchup. At Valhalla coming off some of their best momentum, obviously with the mini winning streak that they have not really been able to achieve in quite a while. I thought they could actually go in and, like some of these other East County teams, and maybe pull off another upset. But here, just they got blanked. It kind of felt like they were riding high a little bit off their wins, and laid a goose egg here, obviously.
Yeah, I was not expecting this team to get shut out. They held Dominic Silva, who was having a crazy monster season, to just 62 yards.
Oh.
Yeah, CJ Cavalier, he's one of the best linebackers in the county, in my opinion. He played a great game, had 15 tackles. A great job by that Olympian defense, holding Valhalla to no point, especially at home. Yeah, it's crazy. Brandon Doctor, he gets at least a sack every game. He's balling under the radar this year, but unfortunate loss for Valhalla going into a big game that we're going to talk about later. But yeah, I don't have much to say. It's another shocking result, man. This game is so unpredictable, but it keeps us on our toes, so I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, you don't want to be shut out, but good job by Olympian, by the way. Don't want to slight them. That's not our job, but we'll shout them out.
It's out of our prediction, but they did a
not
great
you.
job.
You can compliment these. I will too. Come on, I give these guys plenty. Jaden Fuentes had a pair of touchdown passes for Olympian. You mentioned Clavier with his big night, 15 tackles as well. All right, a couple other. I'm just going to go over these briefly. I don't think you, unless you have anything. Crawford looking good. They beat up on Mountain Empire here. Drew Reed, 15 tackles for the Red Hawks. Not a great result. Things continuing to go down here a little bit for Mountain Empire. There, anything Crawford, Raymond? I'll move on. Here.
Oh yeah. Let me say one thing about Crawford. It is so hard to run that program because they're in a neighborhood where kids come from out the country. They haven't even heard of football. They don't know how to play. You got to teach these kids how to play football. So the job that Matt Marquez, the Crawford coach. Sorry if I'm butchering his name, but he has done a great job. I mean, he sent them to CIF last year, had a great season. The run game was awesome this game, 358 yards on the ground combined. Joseph Michillo had a great game, 215 yards, scored 3 touchdowns, also had 10 tackles on defense. So great. Just want to give some love to Crawford and the job that staff is doing over there. And I hope Mountain Empire can get a win this season. They've been struggling, but they've been scheduling some tough teams too. So I got to give them props and just hope things are better moving forward.
Now, I covered a Crawford game last year against Coronado, and I thoroughly had a great time watching Crawford in that game, especially in the second half. They were just totally entertaining. It was an exciting late game, but really exciting. So, all right. And how about Foothills Christian? They scored 44 points in the first quarter, and they beat Police Athletic League Academy. In this one, I have a few Ben Hernandez, Jack Sudi had touchdowns for Foothills Christian with a top-notch performance here. All right.
What's the name? Police Athletic League?
Yeah.
That's their name, Police Athletic League?
The PAL Academy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right. Here's Raymond's rankings for the week. We'll get into it. How Raymond matched up with the San Diego Union, I guess, is what we're shooting for here with Raymond's rankings. We know there's 30 voters now, so let's bring up the poll and just see how we look at it this week before we get to the previews of next week's games. All right, Raymond, here we go. In this now, we still have out of the 30 voters, Lincoln number 1, Carlsbad number 2. Only one person looks like they have switched their vote down to Carlsbad after what happened over the no. I don't know what might have indicated any difference between the performances last week, but the big news here: Granite Hills 3, Helix 4. Which comment here on the top 5 or so, and how'd you vote down the list here?
Yeah, that's exactly what my top 5 is: Lincoln, Carlsbad, Granite Hills, Helix, Cathedral. I saw Lincoln play Modern Day Catholic. Very competitive game at the beginning, but Lincoln just has too much depth, too much explosiveness on offense. They're just rolling. The coaching staff is doing an amazing job. They are on pace to be state champions, open division champions again. They just like the only team that could beat them is them, as far as I'm concerned. But Carlsbad too. Carlsbad is rolling. Of course, Julian Sayans having an amazing senior year. He's looking as great as advertised. It's going to be competitive. I'm sure they'll tell you there's a lot of things they need to clean up before they can consider themselves contenders. But once they do that, man, there's a lot of depth on that team. So we're in for a treat. I'll just say that we're in for a great open division. However, the cream rises to the top.
And I had Helix 3, Granite Hills 4. I went Mission Hills 5. I have Madison and La Costa, Cathedral, Saints, and Modern Day. But I just noticed here Mount Miguel all the way up to 11th. I mean, this is a voting that takes place with every team in every division. You talk about Mount Miguel, what division they're in, and here voters, the media, San Diego basically saying you've got Mount Miguel as one of the top 11 team. They're 11th, so let's be fair about it.
I got them at number 10.
Okay, I had them at number 18 this week. I mean, seeing Mount Miguel here against a team like San Marcos, I'd love to see something like that.
I would too.
El Cap still at 13 here, despite what happened there this week.
Yeah, that surprised me, and eventually surprised some of Steel Canyon coaches too.
Yeah,
but I don't know who's still voting for El Cap. But after their last 2 games, I don't see them as a top 15 or even a top 20 team at this point until they prove otherwise.
Poway and Ramona played a thrilling game, and they're down there at 17 and 18. I mean, I would, Mission Bay 15. I see Poway and Ramona down. Love Mission Bay. Love what they're doing so far. It's pretty exciting. I'd have a hard time thinking that Mission Bay might beat a team like Poway or Ramona, but no problem. A great poll here this week, but I've got Poway and Ramona much higher after especially a quality game like they played last week. High quality game last week that Poway won barely. I mean, it was a very close game, and I think that's why you see Poway sneaking into the poll here against over Ramona, number 17 and number 18. But I actually have them 12th and 13th. So who knows? Maybe I have more a little bit of respect for what those programs have done and what it's like to go in and play those teams on their home field as well. So. All right. Well, I guess we'll continue to let this unfold. But Mount Miguel, in this poll, to me, Mount Miguel is the big story in the East County and the rise of Helix. Like I said, I have them third. Could they challenge those, Raymond? I mean, it's week 4. Could they challenge those top 2 teams, the Highlanders? Could they challenge those top 2 teams in a playoff situation at all?
Talk about Mount Miguel?
No, Helix.
Oh,
we know they're stuck in their division. I mean,
oh yeah, of course they can. Yeah, we seen what they just did to Madison. Madison's an amazing team. They're still amongst the top 10. So yeah, Helix controls their own destiny, especially with the matchup against Granite Hills coming up, and they got another matchup that we're going to talk about later, pretty soon. But they control their own destiny. They got the schedule. The stars are aligning. They're playing as great as they've been for the last 2 years, probably. Yeah, man. I think it's all the top 4 teams. It's theirs to lose. Like the only way they can be stopped is by them,
Well, we'll see because
in
there's a
my
tough
opinion.
game this week. All right, we're going to get into the matchups here. I just want to show one game because there is some Thursday night action. I'll just get this one kind of out of the way because we just mentioned Foothills Christian, but they will be at home for their game on Thursday night, and they're going to play Victory Christian here in an 8-man game. So, hey, since it's on Thursday night, why not go check this one out unless you want to go to maybe this one. Raymond, I'm going to feature this game with the rivalry game, right? Because we're going to play
Yes, the
for
Hammer
the
Shaw
helmet.
helmet, baby.
Yeah, the helmet, but unfortunately, like, uh, even it's still going to be a mismatch, even if it was last year, whatever. Good for Valhalla. I'm glad they're having this resurgence. It scares me a little bit right now. Steel Canyon's got to be pretty big favorite here.
Yeah, the momentum is definitely Steel Canyons right now. They just came off their biggest win of the season. Valhalla probably coming off their most upsetting loss of the season, and it's at Steel Canyon. I'm glad they brought this game back. I don't think we've seen it since 2019. I hate when they put a hold on rivalry games, but I don't control. I don't know the situations with the schedule, but I'm glad to see this game back, and it should be exciting. It should be an exciting atmosphere. I'm not counting out Valhalla just yet. I think they're gonna have a great game. I still love that running game. I still love what Jalen Cruz is doing this year. So they're gonna be up for it. They're gonna be up for this game. So, but I'm going with Steel Canyon.
Yeah, I would think that they're probably favored by about 5 touchdowns. The interesting thing about bringing back this game, and you see some of the other hills and valley teams. There have been a couple others. I think we've already had one as well where they weren't playing, and now they've renewed the rematch a little bit. I'm trying to think of which one it was, but there've been a few more. When the league split up and the Hills teams they basically stopped playing each other altogether, the top caliber teams and the lower caliber teams. Now this one, like I said, Steele's going to be about at least a 5 touchdown favorite in this game, but Hall is playing really, like I said, they're playing as well as they have over the last couple of years. Remember, they had that losing streak as well. So Valhalla has actually looked quite good, especially in those wins. But again, you just see when Steel Canyon goes on the road, wins by, 5 touchdowns at El Cap, even if it was, let's say maybe El Cap can chalk it up as a clunker and maybe Steel was on their game that night, but it feels more like Steel is kind of coming back to what they are used to, and Valhalla, even though they've had that success, they're still in that group. They're in the Valley League, and this one's going to be really tough. So, Steel Canyon, big favorite here. I'll take him, of course. All right, this is tougher than it looks. I don't think that Kellen Cobbs is ever going to be, letting his team. Plus, I believe they've met previously, so I don't think there's any chance of overlooking. But you still got to get on that bus. You still got to make the drive out there. It was 42-7 last year. They beat up on them early, but that was at Granite. So there's some things that go into making the trip out there to El Centro, and Central's always. Hey, I don't know a Valley Sports Network, but this game's so big it might be on 2 YouTube channels.
Yes, I know Granite Hills is going to air it. They air all their games, I think. But this could be a trap game for Granite Hills if they don't be careful. It's hard to go out there in the Valley and get a win. Central has a great team. They got 2 great athletes who could probably play in D1. Jared Martin, highly recruited defensive end. Arturo Estrada, one of the best 2-way players in the county as a DB and a wide receiver. I know those 2 are going to make some plays, but I think Granite Hills is just too deep. They got too much depth. They got too much talent, and they're on a mission right now. So I can see Granite Hills taking care of business on the road.
Yeah, no, they should. They're going to be favored to do so here, probably by I think they might be favored by. I think they might be over favored, if you will. I think the old computer said like 5 touchdowns, and I guess they could win
Sound
by
about
five
right.
touchdowns. It just feels like Central. They keep grinding at you, and they can get on. I think they can dent the scoreboard here a little bit at home. I don't think it'll be a problem for Granite at all, but really these are the type of games that make Central the uh, team that they end up being. A team that can make some noise in their division as well. So these games are character building games for Central. They're a really good program year in and year out right now.
Yeah,
So
that atmosphere is going to be electric. I covered a game out there a couple years ago. No matter how bad Central is doing, the fans show up. They probably got the best band in the San Diego section as far as halftime shows and stuff. It's going to be a great atmosphere. I wish I could be there. I would love to go check it out. But yeah, it's going to be great.
they know they got a big boy coming in. They know what's going on. If they could find some punch there early to maybe put a scare into the Eagles, like I said, you got to get off that bus. You got to take that bus. I always say, NFL and college. You know what? It's almost the same in a way for high school kids to take a big trip. Okay, let's get into the action here on the big weekend, the big game. Don't let the record fool you. This is a rivalry game, and for Helix and Cathedral Catholic, and with Cathedral at home. No gimmies here at any given moment. It feels like Helix is favored. They're favored big time. The computer has them over a 3-touchdown favorite, which I don't know if that's been the case in this series in quite a long time, actually. So careful, Highlanders.
Yeah, this is another resume builder for Helix with another Western League team. Yeah, don't let that 1-3 fool you. But the only thing we've seen from Cathedral, their only win was against Modern Day, who is 0-3 right now, who can't seem to beat a top echelon team. So we're going to know what type of Cathedral Catholic team this really is during this game. So, and Helix is just rolling. They got all the momentum. They got all the talent right now. When these two teams meet up, anything can happen. This is one of those games that usually come down to the wire, come down to a big play. It's tough, but I got to go with Helix. But I could very well. I am very open to being wrong about this. I would not be surprised if Cathedral exploded. They got an explosive offense. I mean, Jack Stevens is playing great. Ethan Ford is running the ball crazy on the ground. I know he had a couple of 4-touchdown games this season. So it's gonna be tough, but I got Helix continuing to roll.
Yeah, and I will say this, and just Daniels is having an incredible year, and Stevens does have 5 interceptions. He'll have to not do that. That could
Yeah,
be where the Highlanders have a big time advantage here in this one, and the way that Helix defense is playing right now. They're expected to win. If I were to think about maybe you were talking about, we're not encouraging any high school football betting, but if maybe more than 3 touchdowns might entice me to think that Cathedral could stay in the game. But for those reasons that you mentioned, familiarity of these two programs playing every year, I like to. I don't know. I made up a term gauntlet series. I think I don't. With the games with Helix, Cathedral, and Saints. It's such a good trilogy of games every year that like you said, anything can happen when the teams meet up. So Helix knows
yeah. This
they'll
is a
be
big
on.
game for Cathedral. I think
Oh,
Detroit's open division hopes depend on this.
oh yeah. Well, yeah. Well, yeah, and their losses are notable. They've lost. The games they've lost, they were not expected to win. So there's no problem there. But
Yeah.
3 losses, I just don't know how the math works out on that. But nonetheless, they would be a big upset. So okay, definitely one of the big games in the. I think this is the game of the weekend in the East County, right? Because of the records. El Cap is going to be favored to win this game, but it is an old rivalry game. I think they've kind of put the perpetual trophy away on this one. But still, last year, El Capitan was able to go into Santana and win in a low-scoring game. A good, exciting game. No reason why it shouldn't be close here in El Capitan. They've got to have questions off of the loss to Steel Canyon at home. There's no reason why Santana couldn't come in here and grind it out somehow with El Capitan and make this a little bit closer. Computer has this one about a 2-touchdown spread in this one. That feels like right now maybe a little bit too much considering El Capitan's performance, but they held the upper hand last year. I felt like they were going to win that game. I was at that game last year, El Capitan and Santana, and it did feel like El Capitan, even though it was close, had the game by the thread, horns a little bit. That's what I'll call it.
I think El Cap really needs to win this game to get their momentum back, because their last two games weren't, even though one of them was a win, they weren't very impressive. And I think Santana, they need this one too, as far as getting their confidence back in order. So it's going to be a tough competitive game. It's a rivalry. I know both of those teams hate West Hills more, but these two hate each other too. So it's going to be a rivalry game, and records go out the window, past games go out the window. I think these two teams, they're really going to fight it, because they both need to win. They need to get back and they need to get their momentum back if they want to compete in their league, in their respective leagues, which are both competitive. So, but I'm gonna go with El Capitan. I think they got better athletes. Chancellor Chapa, still one of the top receivers. Brant Baker, he's healthy, right? He's doing good.
Yeah, no. Look, I don't know if he just was ineffective or what happened there, but he's still in there as far as I know.
Okay, so that's a credit to Steel Canyon's defense, though, holding that explosive offense to just 7 points. But I think El Cap got this, but it's going to be competitive.
Well, speaking of 7 points, it was a touchdown pass last year from Barker to La Chapa. It was the only score of the game, Raymond, that occurred with El Capitan getting that win on the road. It feels like you could get kind of a repeat performance here a little bit. Now, no, never going to expect just one touchdown in a game, but like I said, the grind it out, and Santana certainly playing pretty well still. Again,
quick question.
Here, real quick, I'll let you answer. But again, so you see, this is one where the Valley teams were not playing the Hills League teams, but technically, even though these teams have been playing each other, here you have the Valley League matching up with the Hills League. Go ahead.
El Cap and Santana is closer to each other, right, than they are to West Hills? So no, it's West Hills, and Santana's in the middle, and then El Cap is on the other side. So why does El Cap and West Hills have a more bitter rivalry? So I know Santana and West Hills play for the Mayor's Cup, but El Cap, you would think they'd be a bigger rivalry to Santana, but it seems like they hate West Hills more. Where does that stem from,
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily that way. I mean, there was a time where Santana had kind of fallen back a little bit, but that was probably before Estes' arrival, I think, where maybe they found just a little bit more competitive of a rivalry there a little bit. And you have the connection with Coach Berner and the rivalry that started there basic with El Capitan and West Hills, albeit a friendly one for their perpetual trophy. Now, like I said, they put the trophy away on this one. It was the Golden Whip, and maybe it's just not politically correct. Maybe it was lost.
Oh, no, not 2023.
Well, it's a Western.
That ain't gonna fly.
It's a you know what you use like when the horses are coming down the stretch of the horse. I mean, but the connotation might be there. But
I get it, but especially if we're in a PC society.
That's what you use to control a horse. Is a whip. So because of the nature of the West, the Lakeside, and say, I mean, you drive to Lakeside, and if you go far, just a half a block down the thing, it's, in the morning you're driving. You got to wait for the horse to cross the road. I mean, if you go deep, in the Lakeside, and right behind El Cap is a horse crossing and a equestrian park, and Joan Embry's ranch right there, where you have equine athletes. There's a facility for horses and everything. So that was that. But I think it might have been lost, or I tried to track it down, see if they knew or who had it last. And I don't want to point any fingers, but I think someone has lost this perpetual trophy. Nonetheless, they probably deserve to come up with a new one if they're going to play. Like I said, now it's not a league game anymore. And again, look, 3-1. It was a great game last year that had an impact on the league championship race, because it came down to kind of a battle between Santana, El Capitan, and West Hills. And unfortunately, because of the new league alignment, which does not look great now anymore, but we didn't know Mount Miguel, right? They'd like to see Mount Miguel actually play those elite, even though they might be a big underdog. I'd rather see that, I think, than I'd rather see Mount Miguel go up against Helix and Granite than I would Santana or West Hills. I hope that's.
I think that'll happen next year.
I don't think. No, the reason why we're in this is because they had planned already to promote these teams. I don't even think. I think it was planned before this season, or maybe last season, that these would be the teams that were added, because otherwise, why would they? Because El Capitan has obviously been the better of the three, right? To a certain extent, between El Cap, West Hills, and Santana immediately. So just not sure the conference at this point can make the adjustment. Okay. That might have to be in 2 years. But
I thought teams moved up based on performance. That's why
in the county they do. In the county they do, but I think in this conference, there might be a little bit of a 2-year cycle. I'm not sure on that. So, anyways, nonetheless, good. It'll be a good game here. All right. This was always a good game in years past. These two teams have played many a times. It doesn't seem like it's supposed to be too close this time, although the computers have the Braves by about a little over 2 touchdowns.
Claremont, I like the way they've been playing this year. They've really gotten it together. That program was in the dumps. I mean, I think they had they only played JV a couple years ago. They had to shut down the varsity. They didn't have enough numbers. So to see them in a position where they got a chance to have a winning season, I'm very happy for them. Same way I felt about El Cajon Valley. I already talked about them earlier. I see El Cajon Valley going 4-1, which would be great. Which would be a great look for them. But hats off to Claremont, the job that they've been doing this year.
Yeah, Braves should take care of this. I hope I made my pick on that last game, Raymond. I'm going with El Cap at home, by the way, on that one. All right, Braves, go Braves. Keep it going right now. No reason they shouldn't win this one. And to me, I don't know. The way the Braves are going right now, they might be able to win this one by more than that. 14, 17. They'll probably win by 3 touchdowns or more. They're looking so good. Okay, how down is Bishop? Can you tell me? I mean, I would think that if I see this here, it's still Bishops, I guess, but Mount Miguel, it just seems like more fodder. Like Bishops is just bad timing right now.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I don't know what's going on with Bishops. Far removed from the Tyler Buckner era, I'll tell you that. It looked like another role for Mount Miguel. I think they continue to go. I don't know. You think they can put up another 66? I want to say this could be their toughest competition. They're playing a Division II team who is hungry for that first win. So this could be a trap game, but I don't see it, man. Mount Miguel is they're just on a different planet right now, and I think that the road continues. But don't be surprised if Bishops is competitive. I know they're hungry right now.
Bishops lost to La Jolla 41-19, and we saw, if we're equating Mount Miguel and El Capitan, right? And El Capitan, yes, they came back and beat La Jolla. The story, Deal left the game. El Capitan, credit to them, took advantage, got the home win over the Vikings there. But Bishops lost to La Jolla, their rival, by the way. I mean, 41-19 in the Bishops
Battle
La
for
Jolla
Pearl
game
Street.
this year, right? And also Bishops lost to Christian 20-10. They lost to Bishop Diego of Santa Barbara last week in a thriller 33-30. So Mount Miguel, pretty big favorite here in this one to beat Bishops this week. All right. Christian is going to take on Needles, California, and these teams have similar records. Raymond, I don't know if you have, I don't know much about Needles, but I do know that
It's my first time hearing about Needles High School. That's an interesting name for a high school, but yeah, hopefully Christian can pull off the win. I want to get stung by a needle.
Semi-famous city in California, Needles. Anyways, though, here you do have.
I just found out recently that there's a California city in California. I just found this out like probably a couple of months ago. So there's a lot of cities in the state that I was born and lived in my whole life that I never heard of.
This one's actually, I believe, on Saturday. I think I might have jumped the gun here, but Christian is favored to win this one by a little more than 2 touchdowns, probably about 2 touchdown favorite here in this one, but it's not. Again, you have to travel in this one, so that definitely.
Yeah, it could be a good road win before a league play starts. So best of luck to the Patriots.
Okay. Monte Vista, this looks tough. I think Monte Vista could come out and play a good game. This is a good throw out the records. This is a close game. It's a fun game.
I was gonna say this is the best game between losing teams that we'll probably see.
And this game, it might be over in 90 minutes too. If you want to watch, get in and get out. Well, when's the clock gonna stop?
Yeah, both. Yeah, it's both running teams. Both teams known for their run game. Monte Vista got their first win out the way. They broke that losing streak. So now they're excited. Now it's up from here. I won't count out. Sweetwater's a tough team, man. I know it's hard to say about an 0-4 team. But I'm gonna go with Monte Vista this time. I ain't picking against them again. So I think Monte Vista gets their second win.
Okay, I think that they certainly can compete. They're playing, well. 1-3. They've played well in their losses, as you might expect. But Sweetwater also, look, they lost to Mount Miguel 48-14. Look, see what's going on with some of these scores. That doesn't look too bad. They scored 2 touchdowns against Mount Miguel. They did lose to Santana 34-8. And lost to Bonita Vista 17-7. Last week it was Mission Bay 35-14. So this one feels extremely close here, but the computer actually has Sweetwater about a 2 touchdown favorite in this one. I think Sweetwater, I don't say they're better than their record. They obviously are. They're Sweetwater. Usually they've had their first win, I think, by now. They play tough games early in the past couple seasons. So, all right. I think I got one more here. I'll just mention it, but it's going to be Vincent Memorial against Mountain Empire. I would think Vincent Memorial here will win this game over Mountain Empire. They are favored to win this game by about 3 or 4 touchdowns in this one.
Yeah.
So
Vincent Memorial, they got 2 players that I had in my top 23. The Jacobo Elias, he had 325 total yards and 6 touchdowns, 4 passes, 2 runs. Emilio Fimbres, he had 15 tackles and 3 sacks. Fimbres is a great name over in Vincent Memorial. They had a defensive lineman, 4-year starter with that same last name who was a monster. So I think this might be his little brother. Vincent Memorial is a tough team. I'm going to have to go with them. Hopefully Mountain Empire can get it together, but I see Vincent Memorial winning this.
Okay, thanks a lot, Raymond. Great job with the show today. You have your, let's see if we can bring in your Stars of the week, if you will, and see who we have maybe from the East. I think we probably talked about them, whoever they are, but I think we got your top players here. Let's see, for the week. I'll just bring up the IG here. Maybe that'll work. All right, here we go. I'll read them off if it's too hard here, but from the East County, you mentioned Kevin Allen, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. Matthew Barton, 255 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jeremiah Castillo, he's woken up. He never went to sleep. 228 all-purpose yards. He'll tell you on his Twitter what his stats were. I like that. If everyone did that, it'd make my life a lot easier. 3 touchdowns.
Same here.
Yep. Great job there. You mentioned Elias. I want to mention his big day there against Southwest. Certainly. Jara, 3 touchdowns and an interception for the week. Also, Jonathan Sablon. Thank you for getting his name right. The UT botched it, I believe, as long as all the school, all the max prep.
I almost did too. I'll admit, I almost did too. I had to double check that.
I think they got the first part and the last part wrong. I'm not sure. So, all right. Great job this week with the players of the week from Raymond Brown. Great job. We'll catch you again next week, Raymond. We'll hope. Hey, I think it continues to roll. I like our spot here with these East County teams, and thank you for bringing your video highlights. What you know what's going on this week for yourself?
I don't know yet. I've been looking at the schedule, but I know I'm going to be somewhere in the East County, so expect some highlights to come to your email as always.
All right, appreciate it very much. For Raymond Brown, I'm Ramon Scott. Thanks for joining us, East County Prep Football Report.